1982. And in 85, he became an official initiating spiritual master within ISKCON. Travels extensively. He has served as a general body commissioner for many temples within ISKCON. This court case is just a glimpse of many of the things that administratively has to go on to keep our temples places that promote Prabhupada's teachings. He met Prabhupada in 1969 at the University of Buffalo. And Prabhupada was there with Allen Ginsberg chanting the Maha Mantra. And that was his first encounter. Yeah.
That was memorable.
So we hope you can share a little bit more on that. And I think we had something to add to this about today's talk. Where are you? Okay, come. Shankadari ji.
This is in relation to today's talk and also some additional information. Just last Sunday, Maharaj concluded a holy yatra to some of the South Indian holy places, Udupi, Sringeri Mutt, Srirangapatna, Melkote, etc.
We went to Sringeri Mutt. That was like really cool.
And he gave extensive presentations.
Keep it short.
On series of classes that covered the lives of Madhvacharya, Adi Shankaracharya, and prominent followers of those leaders, the Acharyas.
Ramanujacharya and his followers.
Ramanujacharya and his followers, and the deities that we visited.
Punchline. If you want to get the recordings, YouTube recordings, there's a link. Keep it short.
Yes, if anyone you can go search Ramapada Swami YouTube channel. All the series of lectures are available freely. Or if anyone needs more information, please, I can provide that.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Just a quick practical announcement. There's a beautiful car, Nissan, from Virginia, VCD 2908. Silver cars. If it belongs to you, you are blocking a bunch of cars and they need to go to the airport. Anybody?
And there's somebody out there that's...
Quietly, you can come out and walk from the back, okay? If you are embarrassed now.
He's in anxiety. He wants to go out. He's got to get to the airport and the car's being blocked. Be kind to that gentleman.
Okay, so please give a very warm welcome to His Holiness Ramapada Swami. Raj, can you pull your mic a little bit down in it? Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you. Pull a little closer.
There's a short leash on time. I've been told. So I'm not going to have a Hare Krishna Kirtan. Just going to say pranam mantras and we'll roll because of time. But we can all say together, Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the time we'll spend together is from this time spent in Udupi, and one of the celebrated features of our visit to Udupi was visiting not only Udupi Krishna, but at the same time that Madhvacharya received Udupi Krishna, he received two other deities, a deity of Balaram and a deity of Janardhana. Here's a little story of how he received those deities. He was living in Udupi. He was planning one day to take a journey to the sea, to take his bath in the sea, and as he was walking, his heart was moving in the direction of spontaneously composing some prayers in glorification of Krishna. later those prayers became a foundational part of the worship of Udupi Krishna. I'll tell you a little story about that. As he was walking, he felt, today I will meet Krishna. Maybe one day you'll have that feeling too. And sure enough, as he got to the shore and took his bath, he was seated and he saw that a ship was stuck on a sandbar. And he intuitively understood. He took his handkerchief and waved his handkerchief, and the boat was unstuck from the sandbar. And he motioned for the ship to come to the shore, which it did. The captain of the ship said profusely, "Thank you, thank you. I'd like to reciprocate with your kindness. Please, may I give you something?" And he said, I'm a sannyasi, I don't need something, but in the hull of your ship you have some gopi chandan, big ballast for the ship, so it would not rock so much. I'd like that. 30 men tried to lift, they couldn't lift. Madhvacharya lifted, because he's an incarnation of Hanuman. Incarnation of Vayu. He lifted. And as he was walking, the Gopi Chandan chunk broke, and inside the Gopi Chandan chunk was that deity of Udupi Krishna and the other two deities inside this Gopi Chandan. And because of time, I maybe another time I'll tell you the story of how that got into the ship. But there's a nice story. And so here's the three deities. The Krishna, Udupi Krishna deity, as you see, he's with a stick for controlling the cows and a rope for controlling the cows. It's in the cowherd boy mood, Udupi Krishna. Here's the deity nicely dressed. In the center is the Balaram deity. You'll see where he is in Malpe. We visited this place as well. And the Janardhana deity is further south. So here's a map of where Karnataka state is. Udupi is on the coast, on the west side towards the middle of this section of Kerala. And there's the deity of Udupi Krishna. And just northwest is another place, Malpe, where there was a deity of Balaram that's now installed, just 7 kilometers northwest of Udupi, right at the shore. And south is the deity of Janardhana. Now, I wanted to spend some time, because it's nice, and it's churning the topic of Krishna, because one of Krishna's names, he has many names, and we're going to touch on what Vishnu Sahasranam says about Janardhana, but the Jana is people, and Ardhana has different meanings. There's 5 primary meanings. I'm going to go quickly because of time, and we're going to touch on each one of these. So this is a meditation on the meaning of Krishna's name as Janardhana. Now, some of you know that the topics of Krishna, just by hearing them, something happens. By hearing Krishna's name, something happens. By hearing topics in relation to Krishna, something happens. That something that happens is Cheta Darpana Marjanam, for starters. The heart becomes cleansed. The remembrance of our relationship with Krishna becomes more accessible just by hearing these wonderful narrations and sound vibrations. So that's what we're planning to do with all of you today. The first of the meanings is this destroying of wicked people. And that's found in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, where Arjuna addressed Krishna as Janardhana. O Janardhana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? So then our acharyas very kindly help us understand why is it that Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Janardhan? What's the import behind it? What are we supposed to get from Arjuna's calling Krishna Janardhana? So Baladev Vidyabhusan in his commentary writes, Arjuna wants Krishna, who descends to relieve the earth of its burden, to kill the Kauravas. He doesn't want the responsibility, as the Supreme Lord cannot suffer the sin in killing them. Now, we understand when Arjuna does what Krishna wants as the instrument of what Krishna wants, there's no sin accrued to one who does what Krishna wants. But that's Baladev's explanation of he's the destroyer of sin. Another meaning, this is Hari Nama Vyakarana. This is a grammar text compiled by Jiva Goswami following the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one of the meanings, according to Harinam Namrata Vyakarana, is one who desires the surrendered souls in his presence as servitors. The meaning of Janardhana. So on the left side, we see Ramachandra. When Ramachandra returned from his 14 years of exile back to Ayodhya, he is this Janardhana personality. He exhibiting this feature of him. He was very happy to give the opportunity of everyone to come and assemble and be in his service. And on the right side, we see Krishna with all the cowherd boys and the calves. And Krishna did likewise. He, in the forest of Vrindavan, enjoyed very much this feature of his named Janardhana, where he enjoys having the surrendered souls in his presence. Krishna's enjoyment is everything for us. Then specifically for the Vrajavasis, there's two meanings. This comes from our acharyas. It's very nice. I hope you like Krishna Katha, because that's what this is. So there's two meanings specific to the Vrajavasis, and this comes from Canto 10, Chapter 19. And Canto 10, Chapter 19 is the summer season. And in that section, Janardhana, who pained the forest dwellers by leaving them, and who caused the Vrajavasis to request his return, entered the village, playing a special tune on a celebrated flute. Nice painting. That's a pretty nice painting up there too on the altar. That's really... Raise your hand, the Mataji that did this. Really nice. You got inspired. Get inspired again, see what come up with next. But this is a nice one too. Different style. So this is commentary now. When Krishna was returning home from the forest, after grazing the cows, the forest-dwelling persons were feeling pain, ardhana, knowing that Krishna is soon going to be leaving them. And so they were feeling pain. But the residents of Vrindavan, knowing that Krishna is due to come back soon because they could see the dust from the hooves of the cows as Krishna is coming back, they knew Krishna is coming back, being anxious to meet the residents, Jana, of Vraja, Krishna created the desire in them to request Ardhana, him to come home soon in the evening. But it's all centered on Krishna because he wants to be in the company of his loving servitors and those souls surrendered unto him. And so the commentary concludes, Janardhana means he whom the people of Vraja request to see at all times. There we see his lotus feet, and there's some pretty small people standing by his lotus feet. artist inspiration gets away with it. So there's 4 so far, and we're going to hit number 9 to end, but the narrations are very sweet. It's just churning the topic of Namamrita, the nectar of the holy name. Janardhana. Another meaning, the refuge of those desiring ultimate benefit. This is taken directly from Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, where the verse reads, first verse of chapter 3, if it is your opinion that intelligence is superior to action, O Janardhana, then why do you engage me in this terrible action? Very reasonable question. Very reasonable question. You're desiring the ultimate benefit of everyone, and you're asking me to do this terrible thing when you've said intelligence is better? Please explain. Baladev, great commentator on Bhagavad Gita, explains. Here, Janardhana means he who is the object of entreaty for those desiring their ultimate benefit, Shreya Uttama. We spoke about that today, the initiation. Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. Ultimate benefit. Janardhana is the one who is eager to give the ultimate benefit, and he's the object of one who wants ultimate benefit to be appealed to. He's the one. Krishna as Janardhana. It's a feature of the unlimited Krishna. And another is Krishna is the giver of happiness to all. We meditated on all of these when we, were going to see the deity of Janardhana. And when you see the deity of Janardhana after hearing all these wonderful things, it's a different experience. Krishna gives happiness in Vrindavan, to the gopas, to gopis, to cows, animals, creepers, everyone. Nice painting showing Krishna giving happiness to so many different moods of love for him. And a classic, another nice painting of Krishna in his rasa dance at the center. But look, there's the Damodar Leela in the lower left, very similar to that nice painting over there. And Krishna in different moods of loving dealings with his devotees. He wants to give the ultimate benefit to everyone. Janardhana, another meaning, he who protects saintly devotees and removes their suffering. But he sometimes gives suffering. So here's Krishna arranging the relief of the suffering of the resident of Vrindavan, which he brought about anyways by stopping the Indra Yagya, but he's giving protection to them all. And they're very happy. They're very happy. 7 days uninterruptedly seeing Krishna's form, his smiling face, and each according to their particular rasa. Here we see Nanda Maharaj holding up the hill, saying, this little boy thinks he's holding up the hill. We with our canes were holding up the hill. And so forth and so on. Different exchanges of loving dealings. And in fact, all of the pastimes of Krishna, this is a little collage of different pastimes of Krishna, including his swallowing of a forest fire and killing of this demon and that demon, and Krishna's enjoying the difficulty the devotees are put in and then relieving their suffering, their difficulties. Now, I didn't bring my little recording system, but here's Vishnu Sahasranam speaking the same. And I hope, let's see what happens. Oops. Let me try this. No good. Well, it's a nice chorus of people singing this line of Vishnu Sahasranam. Let me try one thing. Pardon me. Should have done a sound check first. Let's see. Can you hear? Should I do it again? Maybe if I put the microphone. I'm not a technology guy, as you can tell. So this, as you may know, Baladev Vidyabhusan, great commentator, in addition to commenting on the entire Bhagavad Gita and so many other things, he made an entire commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam. And here's his commentary on the meaning of Janardhana. Janardhana crushes the demons that seek to destroy the world, and he protects the saintly devotees, removing all their suffering. That's Krishna, but it's an aspect of Krishna addressed by the name Janardhana who does that service, according to Baladev Vidyabhusan. Two more, and we're done. And I think I'm going to meet the time constraints. Janardhana sometimes causes pains to his associates. No. Because the punchline is the pain is in ecstasy. The difficulty of a devotee, just like this construction isn't happening, somehow it's meant by Krishna to be in ecstasy. And leave it to Gauravani to figure out how it's in ecstasy. More kirtan. Let's see what happens. Who knows? The commentary says, here's a nice painting of Dasarath having Kaikeyi announce the two boons that she had extracted from Dasarath, and hearing her say them when he couldn't say them, Dasarath is smashed. And Ramchandra, after hearing Kaikeyi's words, says, "Is that all, mother? I'll leave immediately, today." She's astonished at his response. But it's not just the wicked who get afflicted. Sometimes arrangements are made so that the devotees become afflicted. Now, the language says by the Supreme Lord, but in relation to the Supreme Lord. Bharata, he pleaded like anything for Ramchandra to come back. Tried this, tried that. Ramchandra was going to fulfill the word of his father. No way he's going to do other than the word of his father. So here's Bharata giving the alternative: put on these sandals, chappals, and I'll worship them and rule for 14 years in your absence, with them sitting on the throne and me sleeping on the floor. A detail is, according to Rupa Goswami's writings in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are, many of you have been around a while. You know that there's 5 primary, 7 secondary rasas. How much is 5 plus 7? I'm asking this little, 12, very good. That makes 12 rasas. So amongst the secondary rasas, one of them is Karuna rasa. Now, Karuna means mercy, but it can also mean sorrow. And the Lord of that Karuna rasa happens to be Lord Ramachandra. And it's explained very nicely, again and again, and again and again. Here's a little sharing. Somebody I know said it's really hard for them to come to the DC temple, because when they stand before the deity of Lord Ram, Sita, and Lakshman and Hanuman, they have to leave the temple room, because when they were little, they read the Ramayana And there was so much sorrow and sorrow and sorrow and sorrow. They couldn't bear to see the deity, so they left. And when I explained to them, this is what Rupa Goswami says. It's an ecstasy. It's the anticipation of separation or separation that then transforms itself into an increase of affection for the object of love. It's an ecstasy. So sure enough, Ram came back just in the nick of time. After the 14 years, Bharata was ready to finish himself. Hanuman came to him and told, Ram's coming. Don't rest, don't harm yourself. And it was, the sorrow became ecstasy. But it's all ecstasy. That's the idea. So sometimes the Supreme Lord does things that we can't understand. And it's quite okay that we can't understand, because the merciful Supreme Lord is merciful. Sometimes there's feelings of separation amongst the gopis, but it's an intensification of their love. And there's so many nice paintings of the gopis feeling their separation. Here's one of the gopis on the right side trying to console, another gopi trying to console. Here's Radharani sitting by herself, feeling intense pain and separation. Here she's being fanned because it's burning up the leaves in which she's lying, distraught in separation. But as we hear, the so-called pain is an ecstasy. It gives joy. It gives an more intense feeling of anticipation of meeting again. And sure enough, that's what happens. Last, and not least at all, I like this particular one. One of the meanings of Ardhana, Jana Ardhana, is requesting. There's a very nice description of this, lengthy description, but it's nice, in chapter 81 of Canto 10, which is Krishna's being visited in Dwarka by Sudama. And when Sudama doesn't want to go, but to satisfy his loving wife, he goes because he's thinking, in any case, I'll get to see my dear friend Krishna. But his wife had a different idea. Not like get good stuff from Krishna, but I can't bear to see you so lean and thin. And Krishna is your dear friend. Surely he'll see you and see your emaciated condition, and he'll help you, because I can't, too painful to see you like this. So he went with the anticipation of meeting Krishna. And he came with a gift. You know the gift? Little cloth. Inside was some broken rice, because they had to borrow it from a neighbor because he didn't have anything. So he's carrying that little bag, and Krishna says, "What have you brought me?" And he's hiding the bag behind his back. Here's Krishna begging Sudama for that little bag, the gift that he brought for his dear friend. That's the Ardhana, Jana Ardhana. And when he went, as he was going home, Sudama is contemplating. Krishna is so kind. I like this. He knew why I came, and he didn't ask me why I came. Because if he asked me why I came, I'm a Brahmin, I'd have to tell the truth, and he'd give me so much. But he didn't even ask me, because Krishna is so kind. Krishna is so kind. Krishna is so kind. The temple may not be open at the proper time. Krishna is so kind. Somehow I don't understand it, but Krishna is so kind. He has a way of doing things. So when he got there, he didn't see his home. What happened? There's this big palace. And coming out of the gate of the big palace is his wife. He had to do a double take. Who are you? Oh, you're my wife. You were all dressed so nicely. And then he understood Krishna is so kind. Krishna is so kind. I have always been poor. Certainly, the only possible way that such an unfortunate person as myself could become suddenly rich is that Lord Krishna, the supremely opulent chief of the Yadu dynasty, has glanced upon me. This is the heart of Sudama, appreciating how Krishna is so kind. After all, my friend Krishna, the most exalted of the Dasharhas and the enjoyer of unlimited wealth, noticed that I secretly intended to beg from him. Thus, even though he said nothing about it, when I stood before him, he actually bestowed upon me the most abundant riches. In this way, he acted just like a merciful rain cloud. The Lord considers even his greatest benedictions to be insignificant, while he magnifies even a small service rendered to him by his well-wishing devotee. Thus, with pleasure, the Supreme Soul accepted a single palmful of flat rice. The Lord is supremely compassionate, reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Life after life, may I serve him with love, friendship, and sympathy, and may I cultivate such firm attachment for him by the precious association of his devotees. Such a nice prayer. It's worth hearing it again and again. To a devotee who lacks spiritual insight, the Supreme Lord will not grant the wonderful opulences of this world, kingly power and material assets. Indeed, in his infinite wisdom, the unborn Lord well knows how the intoxication of pride can cause the downfall of the wealthy. Almost done. Thus, firmly fixing his determination by means of his spiritual intelligence, Sudama remained absolutely devoted to Krishna. Free from attachment to enjoyment, he enjoyed, together with his wife, while giving up the sense objects. Cutting the knot of material attachment is the illustration. There's some nice meanings of Janardhana, and we're very indebted to our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, for giving us an ocean of nectar, along with the predecessor Acharyas, the ocean of nectar for which we were always anxious. So I kept my time limit. Isn't that nice? Hey, Ananda, do I get some points? Did I get some bhakti points? Okay. And we have some time for people to say a question or two? Is that part of the schedule? 2:00 is cutoff. Okay. Gauravani. I saw Gauravani first. You're second. You're the senior. He wants to defer to you. Are you senior to him?
Yes.
By age? By age. Okay, so you get the microphone. Give him the microphone. We try to keep culture going. You know. Right.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, giving the and explaining the different meaning of Janardhana. Is there one more meaning of Janardhana?
Oh, there's more.
Like a maintainer?
Yeah.
Because that's what I read.
I shut this down because I had 30 minutes.
Okay. All right, that's what I was going to ask you.
I mean, he's the Lord of the Heart, too. Janardhana. There's more.
Thank you.
But I just picked the juicy ones.
So forgive me if this question is, if this is not the right venue for this, or if this is the timing of this question is too fraught to answer in a public way.
Okay.
But with the war going on in
it's an interesting
Israel,
preamble for your question.
Israel and Palestine's war going on,
That's
and so
one.
many people are, many wars, of course, but this one is in the news right now, and So one of the meanings that you gave is that he destroys those who are wicked and trying to hurt others and protects those who are spiritual or saintly. And we know that certainly Krishna doesn't only favor people who are of one religion.
That's right.
Right? Krishna loves everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So how can we understand when we see people who are caught in between political, opponents, and they themselves may be saintly, but they're suffering?
Well, you know the answer. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say what you already know. How closely are they following the tenets of their own teachings? I mean, listen to Srila Prabhupada's recordings. I mean, read his books, but, he gets really graphic. I don't have the audio card even to repeat his words, but they're not, in short, the teachings are one thing, but they're not following the teachings. And they're calling themselves in the garb of, they're not following what their teachings are. Because the teachings, it's like, Gandhi saying that Bhagavad Gita is a book of nonviolence. No, what's the principle of Dharma? And is the violence based upon the principle of Dharma? If it's not based on the principle of Dharma, there's other names, like Adharma. And the name of Dharma is Adharma. And so what's that? The banner is there, this religion, that religion, at loggerheads. There's a nice, you might want to read it or listen to it or however you like to do things. There's Professor, what's his name? From Ireland, O'Grady, something like that. And, there's the Protestants and the Catholics. And it's not just they disagree. They have bloody battles that stretch over hundreds of years. And it's kind of like this one. It stretches over so many years. And it's not on the principle of Dharma. It's on the principle of skin. And my skin is better than your skin, although their skins are quite similar. It's not Dharma. So when people are invested in that which is not who they really are and calling that their religion, there's going to be clash because it's la-la land in the name of this religion, that religion, or this branch of religion, that branch of religion. It's not religion. So it's not to say in those groups of people there aren't saintly people, because that was part of your preamble of your question. There are some saintly people. But those saintly people aren't participating in this. Now, what are they doing? They're probably praying to God to, please resolve these differences, because they're not going to be resolved by war. It's just it'll calm down after some time. Whatever happens, people get destroyed. And some people are left standing. Some time passes and they go at it again. Because it's not Dharma. Not because it's not Dharma, it's just the nature of the material world. So, in short, look through the lens of Scripture, and it makes it not pleasing, but understandable why these things happen. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava. It's not Dharma. Yeah.
Ask a short follow-up?
Yeah.
Forgive me for this. I don't like to monopolize the mic, but it's on my heart, this situation.
Troubling you, yeah.
So then trying to bring it to the lotus feet of the Lord with this beautiful presentation filled with beautiful images and beautiful, deep kata. We're very grateful.
Check out the YouTube recordings.
Okay.
You'll like it.
Okay.
Lots of these images.
So in this particular definition of Janardhana, how do we then see Krishna's role? Like, how do we bring it back towards Krishna with everything that you said?
Well, two things. Primarily, two things. You model it. B, that which you wish the world to be. You propagate it by achar, by your conduct and your character. And then you know the other one. Holy name can somehow so it can bring disharmony into the hearts of people, or take that away and bring, the essence out. And it works. I mean, it's not it may be gradual. That's okay, but it works. And that's what we take shelter of in the world, in this age of Kali, the age of quarrel. Be acharya-like and propagate the holy name. That's certainly something we can do to bring a change in the direction of what's pleasing to Krishna, instead of the other business that's going on. I see another hand, Nandimukhi in the back. Put your hand up again, Nandimukhi. She always has good questions. Watch.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. We see that Madhvacharya received 3 deities hidden in the Gopi Chandan.
Yes.
And did those deities come with names?
Yeah.
In other words, how did Madhvacharya know the name of the deities?
Oh, how did Madhvacharya know what Madhvacharya knows? He's linked. Even as he was going to the sea, he felt, and realizations were coming, and he's doing the Madhvacharya. He's composing stotras to honor the. So how did he know? By his connection with Super Soul. That's how he knew. Let me do 2 things, because I think I have 2 minutes. The deity came in a boat, and the boat came from Dwarka. Now, how did that deity get into Dwarka before it got into the boat packed with Chandan? Here's the history. Nice history. In Dwarka, Mother Devaki said, I never got to see your childhood pastimes because you were taken by Vasudeva to Gokul, and you came back and your childhood pastimes had already passed. I'd like to see your childhood pastimes. Voila. Krishna manifested his childhood pastimes. He became a small baby and played on her lap and did this and that and the other thing, pulled her ear and did, little boy things. And then he showed his form of Krishna. She was very happy. Rukmini happened to witness the whole Leela of Krishna on Mother Devaki's lap and the whole pastimes. And the cowherd boy pastimes, etc. So she said, can you arrange for a deity for me, Rukmini? Can you arrange for a deity for me like that? So Krishna did, and it was Udupi Krishna, carrying a rod for the cows and a rope for the cows. And Rukmini worshipped for some time, but not too long after Krishna was going to leave this world. Dwarka was going to sink in the sea. Arjuna happened to be there. This history says Arjuna took the deity and put it in a place where over the years and years and years and years, Gopi Chandan formed around it. So the deity that's the origin of the deity. And then when they needed ballast for the ship, this was very convenient because it was heavy. Took 30 men to lift it. Put it in the hull of the ship so the ship would rock less. Madhva knew. How did Madhva know? That was your question. Like who's in the, and how do you know what he knows? Super soul. And then he asked for the deity and asked for the Chandan. And there was, the captain of the ship was happy to give it to him. Now here's another, just the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake. he personally worshipped the deity of Krishna, Udupi Krishna. And the practice was his followers would recite these 12 stotras while the puja was going on behind the closed doors. It wasn't just a curtain, it was closed doors. And at the end, Madhva would come and they could see the deity dressed in different ways according to the occasion. On one morning, the deity door didn't open. And it didn't open, and it didn't open, and the devotees were in anxiety. Maybe he's got a medical problem, or maybe something. So they approached the senior-most devotee, and the senior-most devotee boldly opened the deity door, and what did he see? This is in the biography of Madhvacharya. They saw Hanuman worshipping Ram. They saw Bhima worshipping Krishna. And they saw Madhvacharya worshipping Vyasadeva on the altar, along with Udupi Krishna. Very mysterious. So with that, what's next on the schedule? Would you like the microphone?
We do look forward
How many
to...
sannyasis keep your schedule? Is it often?
Yeah.
You're good about it.
You're good about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Salute the chief.
Krishna, Krishna. But we, of course, if anybody has any questions,